Why are we so attached to our identity? Basically, our identity or ego is in a story that we tell us over and over. And whenever we get so attached to that story, to that script that we receive, we just become so solidified on that type of life and we are not able to see it differently. We just want to live a character's life forever without just being able to change. I don't know if you ever played The Sims, but it's a game where you're just basically being a character or creating characters and they are living a life simulation. You're living through that character something that you decide to. And it's so interesting whenever you're playing because maybe you have a story for your character, you have something that you had planned to whenever you start playing the game, and as if that character is living and experiencing the life that you created, you might get interested about something else, something different that just pop it up in the game. And imagine that you are so attached to the first idea that anything that might pop it up or come towards that game, you're not gonna accept. You're just following the story that you promised in the beginning. Well, this approach is something that most of us take whenever we are just so attached to whatever we built until now as our story or identity. For example, for a lot of people, a change of career can be just a huge, unbearable, impossible decision to be made because the story that they told themselves is that they learn and study through a path and they work so hard to be in the place that they are at that they cannot, for any hypothesis, to change whatever direction they set for them. In my life experience, I always strive towards a creative path where I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to create videos. I wanted to be one of the biggest filmmakers in my city and the place I work on. I just want to be known for my work, for the type of videos I create. Until when I was just climbing the ladder that I was projecting to myself, I wouldn't see people on steps that were above of where I was. And I looked to their lives and I was thinking, wow, this is not that interesting. This is not exactly how I picture. For example, working on the film industry, you might be hours and hours and hours working to record one specific movie or, I don't know, a TV show in the dark. And that happens because whenever you're in a production set, they might need to cover the windows to have more control of the light. And I spent almost 3 days working in this project and I almost went insane because I wasn't going outside and seeing the sunlight. And the hours of work were so long and so immersive. And I was, okay, I know that I told a story to me that I would be this person that I wish I could be because I believe that this will be the path of my dreams. But I'm not sure. Maybe this is not exactly what I want to experience in my life. And maybe you are in the same situation that you always believe that one specific path were the best and beautiful path for you. And maybe you are experiencing that career that doesn't really fulfill the way you picture. Maybe the life values you have right now doesn't match what your career requires from you. Maybe your career wants you to dedicate your life solely by your work, the company, or whatever it might be. And you might value spending time with yourself, working out, having time to plan and cook your meals with patience, not with rush, where you don't need to spend time on present moment and making things. So a lot of people can crash and get really sad and depressed when they see the situation where the story that they're holding so tight is not exactly the story that they want to live anymore. And what I want to bring with this video is I want to share with you that you can create whatever life you want. You can write whatever script you want. If you're experiencing this life, it's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be solid and rigid and just living on this box in this one story scenario. It's the same whenever you're playing The Sims. You have so casually about playing with this character that you can just transform it in whatever you want. Whenever you get so attached to the first story that you told yourself, your life can start to feel like you're living with old clothes, as if you're never putting your clothes to the laundry or buying a new outfit, and you're just wearing the same clothing for your whole life. How would that feel like? And something that I've been learning with the path of awakening is that this is a path where you're gonna be so many more characters. It's so weird because you feel like all the things that you promised yourself that you would follow and you're gonna be like, it gets into a point that doesn't really matter anymore. For example, I was so strongly attached to my career and be this filmmaker that I had in my head that it became a point that is not as important anymore as I had in my mind previously. And when those things are not important anymore, you might get into a place where, okay, so what is my new story? You just go into this blank canvas all the time and become so scary in the beginning to repenting to something that you value. But the more and more you do it, the more exciting it gets, because every time that you crash it into something that you've been doing and you decided that it doesn't fit your life anymore, you will definitely become something new. And there's plenty benefits to it. For example, my parents and my upbringing brought me a story that I need to eat a lot of food to socialize with people and feel my emotions with food. So I grew up basically seeing my family and my parents having this strong relationship with food, and I've never seen any of my parents or maybe family members going to the gym or working out. So in my storyline, the script that I had in me, it was that working out was maybe a second, third, or even fourth priority in my life. But as I started navigating life in a more brighter and clear lens, I started to see my patterns with food and deciding that I wanted to change those behaviors and become a new character. I wanted to become somebody that was more conscious about what I was eating and just eating better, and also being aware of how do I feed my body, how do I nurture my body. And in the same way with exercise, I want that to be one of the most important things in my life, in my routine. To be able to do that and change those old behaviors, I had to really work into updating my script. And this is a work in progress. I want to keep updating my script to whatever new thing that comes up that shows me that, wow, I could be living my life even brighter and happier. And why not look into those scripts that I have here in back of my mind and just updating that with something new. And if you feel like your life is stuck, but you're not really sure where to start, maybe go with meditating first. Open a little space to meditation so you can just have a place where you're working into being out of your thoughts, being quieter with yourself, to have that clear conversation, that place where your anxiety is not going to take control, or maybe your sadness or your thoughts about what you should be doing the day. It's not going to be the louder voice, and you can find that really low, right in the back of your head, there is a tiny little voice screaming and maybe getting louder and louder with time, to ask you to change your habits and change your behavior and become something new, and getting to a point where you can write a new story. Well, if you need any help in a more closer, deeper way to have a one-on-one chat with me, I'm gonna drop a link down below to have a one-on-one session where we can explore and understand what can be a new script for your life. But besides that, if you like this content, I would ask you to subscribe, like, and just share this video with whoever would love to hear more about this topic. And I just wish I can see you in the next video.